The deadline is only 5 days away, and there is now a report coming out that the Orlando Magic are secretly being very aggressive, asking teams who is available, asking about De'Aaron Fox and Cam Johnson. We're going to be talking about those two players specifically today and what is going on with the Orlando Magic. Right now, they're playing the Utah Jazz. They're down at half 59-47 at the time of me recording this video. And unfortunately, they are 6 of 20 from the three-point line and 14 of 48 from the field, which is worse than 30%. 29.2%, so they're actually shooting better from three today, but there's clearly things wrong with this offense, so we're going to be talking about exactly what the organization may potentially be up to as the deadline nears in about 5 days. Here's the report that inspired this video. Coming from Twitter, the Orlando Magic have inquired about De'Aaron Fox and Cam Johnson as potential trade targets at the deadline. Now, these are two players that I've actually made a video on within the last week, and I've gotten some interesting feedback from you guys, so I wanted to talk about that before we get into exactly what is going on with the team, salary cap, the team's struggle offensively, and what kind of organizational struggles this team might be having right now after their poor month in January. Well, we talked about De'Aaron Fox the other day, and I think that the reception was less so that we would want De'Aaron Fox to fix the current issues and more so that, hey, look, he would definitely cement a true big three. And maybe he solves some issues, maybe he doesn't. Does he work with Jalen Suggs also out on the floor? Probably not as much as you'd like, but Jamahl Mosley is a very good coach, and I think he could make that work. De'Aaron Fox, Paolo Banchero, and Franz Wagner, that is a very, very formidable big three, in my honest opinion, and I think could elevate this team. But he doesn't really solve as many of the issues as we would like, and his price tag might potentially be too much for this team. And certainly salary cap-wise, probably wouldn't really be able to recover. Wouldn't really be able to put the auxiliary pieces around those 3, 4, 5 guys that would be necessary to take the load off of them. But like I said, it would be a very formidable big three, and one that I don't think a lot of teams could potentially match. So you kind of give and take a little bit with that. The other was Cam Johnson. Hey, look, Cam Johnson does solve the three-point shooting problem, but a lot of teams are going to be in a bidding war for him over the next week or so, and that price tag could be pretty hefty as well. Also, what can we give the Nets that could potentially be something that they would take, right? Like, the Nets are definitely going to want to get younger. They're going to want those picks. And will the Orlando Magic, as the front office has not shown in recent years, move off of the draft picks, move off of those young players, and take a major risk in trying to get a player like Cam Johnson? I don't know exactly if they would be willing to do that, but I think both of those players are good options, and I think Cam Johnson definitely solves what is wrong with this team right now, and that is shooting. Now, what way do I lean? I lean towards the way of, honestly, making a huge swing and getting De'Aaron Fox, because I think that completely changes the landscape of this team. Now, will they end up doing that? I think it's far more unrealistic. I think De'Aaron Fox has said that, hey, not publicly right now, but I think he is kind of over his time with the Kings. I think we're looking at a potential situation like a Kevin Garnett. Now, he's certainly not as good of a player as Kevin Garnett was when he was with the Timberwolves, but I'm just, for the sake of the argument, making this comparison that, hey, he's probably done with the one team that he's played for in his entire career, and he's saying that I am not wanting to be with an organization that's going to waste my career. And that's not saying that the Kings are terrible. I mean, Sabonis could pretty much go get a triple-double every single night, and he got snubbed from the All-Star team. But, I mean, that whatever. Snubs are, it's inevitable. They might need to move the All-Star teams to 15 players, but I digress. He's probably not exactly going to be investing the future of his career into a Sacramento Kings organization that hasn't been where it needs to be. But that is obviously a big thing when we're looking at De'Aaron Fox, and I think he's made it pretty much clear that he's going to test his market in free agency coming up. So I think that some of the price tag will go down. Now, for Cam Johnson, I think I respect that. I think that this team could definitely make a move to go get Cam Johnson potentially, and I don't really see any sort of way that is not something that they end up. It's not somebody that they're going to end up keeping, and I don't think that this is a player that the Magic are just going to roll over and say, oh, that's too much. Now, let's take a look at what this team has done in the month of January. It's been a little bit all over the place, especially with the games played. We've had guys like Jalen Suggs out, guys like Batadze out, not really being not really getting a ton of production from a guy like Paolo Banchero, averaging 21.1 points in the month of January. Would have liked to see that number have an uptick, especially towards the end of the month, but didn't really see it. Franz Wagner also returned to the floor. He's been pretty good, but certainly not to the level, both of those guys, that you'd like him to be. Franz Wagner averaging 26.3 points per game, and in some of the losses, he has played well. But overall, this team needs to get a lot better. Wendell Carter Jr. cannot really provide a ton of offense for this team, but he had a good month of January. Can you rely on that going forward? I don't know. Tristan da Silva and Anthony Black, both still averaging pretty decent numbers, and the numbers that they were averaging prior to January, but just doesn't feel like it has the same impact. But both of those young guys, in my opinion, are something that the organization very much values. So I don't think they'd be sending either of them packing right now. I don't really think they'd want to move off of Anthony Black. I think that this has been a season of a breakout in a sense for him, kind of finding his way in the NBA. And I think Tristan da Silva has been a clear hit, although sometimes he gets a little bit too much run. But still far beyond his, actual years for being a rookie. He's obviously an older rookie, but he has been a player that I think we can rely on, especially come playoff time, at least to play in those games, because last year we saw the rookies not play whatsoever. But 28 minutes per game, maybe that number does get cut down as the season goes on. Cole Anthony has certainly found a resurgence. Now, is it time to trade him? Potentially. KCP, too inconsistent, and unfortunately, I'd say for the final grade of what he has been for the Orlando Magic has been certainly underwhelming and nowhere above a C. And then I think we got the rest of the bench in this little summary that I'm doing of what this team has been like in the month of January, and it's just been less than stellar. Now, I don't know exactly if Jamahl Mosley is in the mood to completely change up things like getting a De'Aaron Fox, and I certainly understand what you guys were saying, how he doesn't fix every single issue, and we don't want to sacrifice too much of the cap. But when we need a win, and when we look ahead to the rest of the schedule after the Jazz game, and we have a loss to the Jazz, who we should beat, there are signs. That is a sign. That is a signal that this team might need something to change, because they seem to be getting figured out. And when they really shoot poorly, that defense, no matter how good or how dominant we think it is not going to be able to take us very far into the playoffs, and it probably won't be able to take us out of the first round, especially if we have a less than favorable matchup, because we got stuck in the play-in, or we're the 6th seed instead of getting that 4-5 matchup. This team could potentially see an early exit if they don't fix something that is going on right now with with their offense and just overall, because obviously the defense has been taking a little bit of a dive. Giving up 59 points to the Magic at half, or to the Jazz at half, doesn't really feel like Magic basketball. But what does feel like Magic basketball, unfortunately, is 47 points at halftime and 30% or under shooting from the field. That's poor, and that is something that really, really needs to get fixed. Tristan da Silva did end up playing well. He has ended up playing well, and he finished the half strong against the Jazz. But overall, we're going to need something, and we're going to need it soon, over the next 5 or so days. I think that this team, if not Cam Johnson or De'Aaron Fox, this team is going to have to maybe try to get another shooter, try to get another body, and it probably will be one of those young guys. Maybe not Anthony Black, maybe it is Cole Anthony, unfortunately, or maybe it's not going to be Tristan da Silva, but maybe it is Jett Howard. Maybe you could try to get something for a guy like Jonathan Isaac, whoever is trade available, and you're looking at this team, what can you package to potentially get a shooter that can reignite this team? Obviously, we got KCP. He was supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be the guy to really turn the corner, of provide more veteran leadership for this team and more offensive output, whether or not he's on the bench or whether he's starting. He was supposed to be that guy alongside Jalen Suggs, Anthony Black, and Cole Anthony. When one of them was injured, unfortunately, that was going to be reliable. Just hasn't been that guy, and unfortunately hasn't been the guy that we thought we were getting from his championship days. But there's certainly plenty of the season to go, and this Orlando Magic team is very scrappy, and they have had a ton of adversity, and it has been very difficult to judge this team. And Jalen Suggs is not playing today, again. So, unfortunately, we are probably not going to be able to make a decision at the trade deadline that is true to what this team is capable of, because we don't really know. But what we do know is that this team is struggling shooting, and will need to figure that out extremely fast. And if they don't, then unfortunately, this team could get bounced in the first round. Now, I am curious as to what you guys think. These reports are very interesting. Can they shake this organizational opinion of themselves and that they always need to draft or invest in the younger players and go for a more win now move? I think they can shake it, and I think that these reports are showing that, hey, they're going to try to make a move. Now, not all of these reports come to fruition during the trade deadline because certain guys are just going to get dealt to any sort of teams, and some teams might not want to trade within the conference. So maybe Cam Johnson isn't as big of an, or isn't as possible of an option as we might think, just because that's within the same conference. And maybe De'Aaron Fox, maybe the Sacramento Kings are just going to hold on to him one more trade deadline. Maybe they're going to just see exactly what's going to be out there in the future. But I think we're going to have to see in the future, and we're going to have to deal with what is going on with this team right now, and that is just less than inspiring basketball. We've seen plenty of comebacks this season. I mean, certainly this team was they were the cardiac kids in the month of December. Now that has fallen a little bit in January, but we could see a potential comeback here against the Jazz. But let me know what you guys think about the Orlando Magic. What can they potentially do as far as trades that could elevate this team? Are there any other trades that you guys think should be going on? And where is Mac McClung? I'll ask it every single video from here on out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Quick video today on the Orlando Magic and what is going on with this team. But until I see you guys next time with Orlando Magic content, stay nice. Feeling good. I don't know.